Hello everyone, Douglas here, and welcome to my Doctor Who review, and today I will be reviewing Smith and Jones. This story is the first story for Freema Agyeman as Martha Jones. You might remember that Freema played another character in the Series 2 finale, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. Our opening scene begins in London, and we see Martha, and she is on her way to work. We see her phone goes off, and we see her sister Trish, played by, I'm probably gonna mispronounce this, Huga Mafawa. We see her brother Leo, played by Reggie Yates. We see her mom, Francine, played by Adjo Adoa. We see her dad Clive, played by Trevor Lettered. We see the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant, and he takes his tie off in front of Martha, and you might be wondering, why did he do that for? We see that she works at the hospital, and there is a storm coming, and funny enough, I remember a hospital being there because my hotel in London was close to the London Eye, and I did see the COVID memorial wall. We see that someone bumped into her. We see Florence, played by Anne Reid, and Mr. Stoker, played by Roy Marsden, and he is with the medical students. We see the helmet guy again, and we see another one. We see Mr. Stoker is taking the medical students, and we see the doctor again. And you might be wondering, how did he get there so fast? We see Martha mentions Chancellor Street to the doctor, and he doesn't remember it. We see Martha discovers he has two hearts. We see Martha is talking to Trish. We find out from Trish it's only raining on top of the hospital. We see the rain is going up. We find out the hospital is on the moon. I love Martha's line when she says, "We're on the bloody moon!" We see everyone is panicking. One of the scenes I like is when we see the crater where the hospital used to be at. We see Martha is about to open the window, and we see one of the students stop her, and Martha knows that the window is not airtight. And we see the doctor, and for the first time, he is in the blue suit. We see the doctor and Martha go out in the balcony, and they are still breathing. We see the doctor is looking for something, and we see him throw a pebble, and we find out it's a force field. We hear a noise, and we see spaceships. We see the aliens are marching out of the ships, and we find out from the doctor they are Jadoon. We see Florence comes into Mr. Stoker's office, and she is asking for help, and we find out she's an alien, and we see the helmet guys. We find out that Florence needs blood, and she is going to drink blood through a plastic straw. I did not know plastic straws could do that. We see the Jadoon are marching into the hospital. We see the Jadoon captain takes off his helmet, and we hear him say, "Oh, Skullful, don't know, Croblo, Koshawo." And we see every Jadoon pulls their guns out, and we see the Jadoon captain scans one of the doctors, and the rest of the Jadoon scan all the people. We find out from the doctor that Jadoon are police, and they are looking for Florence. We find out from the doctor, according to the galactic law, they've got no jurisdiction over the Earth, so they isolated it. We see someone assault a Jadoon, and for that, it's execution. And I thought it would be jail time if you assault a cop. We see the doctor is looking through the records, and I love Martha's line when she says, "What else you got, a laser spanner?" And the doctor replies saying, "I did, but it was stolen by Emily Pankhurst." Cheeky woman! I love the doctor's line when he says, "Jadoon platoon upon the moon." We find out the Jadoon wiped the records. We see Martha goes into Mr. Stoker's office, and oh boy, bad timing. We see Florence orders her goons to kill Martha. We see one of the goons is after the doctor and Martha. We see the doctor and Martha run into the x-ray room. We see the Doctor plugs his sonic screwdriver into the X-ray machine. We see Martha presses the button, and one of the goons is dead. We see the Doctor absorbs the radiation, and they got into his shoes. And I love the Doctor's line when he says, "Barefoot on the moon." We find out from the Doctor the helmet goons are called slabs. We see the sonic screwdriver gets destroyed. We find out from the Doctor she can assimilate Mr. Stoker's blood, mimic the biology, so register as human. We see the Jadoon captain scans Florence, and she is marked with an X. We see one of the slabs is looking for the Doctor and Martha. We see the Doctor comes out of hiding and he gets caught by a Jadoon, and now they are after him. We find out the oxygen is running out. We see Mr. Stoker is drained of blood. We find out Florence is a plasmavore. We see the Doctor and Martha kiss, and the Doctor goes to the MRI. We see the MRI is active. We see the Doctor plays dumb and gets caught by the slab. We see the Jadoon captain scans Martha and finds alien trace. We find out that Florence is going to escape in the Jadoon ship. We see the Doctor is making Florence panic, and she drinks the Doctor's blood. And when I see the scene of the Doctor manipulating Florence, I could see the 7th Doctor doing something like that. And I think that was the 7th Doctor in him. We see the Jadoon captain comes in, and the Doctor falls to the floor. We see Martha comes in, and she tells the Jadoon that Florence did it. And then she realizes that both the Doctor and Florence are aliens. The Doctor gave his life so they could find her. We see that Florence sets the MRI to magnetic overload, and we see the Jadoon captain kills the slab, and then all the Jadoon kill Florence. We see the Jadoon captain orders withdrawal. One of the best scenes is when Martha does CPR on the Doctor, and it works. We see the Doctor is trying to stop the MRI, and he unplugs it. Another good scene is when the Doctor is carrying Martha. We see the Jadoon ships are taking off, and it rains on the moon. We see the hospital is back. We see the Doctor is walking back to the TARDIS. We see Martha is getting ready for her brother's birthday party, and we hear Mr. Saxon. We see the birthday party was a disaster. A funny line from Clive when he says, "Putting my foot down. This is me, putting my foot down." We see Martha sees the Doctor. We see Martha sees the TARDIS. We see the Doctor offers Martha to come travel with him. We see the Doctor gets into the TARDIS, and it comes back. And remember the moment he took off the tie in front of Martha. That was him from the future. We see Martha goes into the TARDIS, and I love the line when he says, "It's like a box with that room just crammed in. It's bigger on the inside." We find out from the Doctor, Martha gets one trip and that's it. I like Martha's line when she says, "Well, you're the one that kissed me." And we find out from the Doctor, that was a genetic transfer. Now what? I don't believe you. We see the Doctor takes off, and a good line from both the Doctor and Martha to close the story when the Doctor says, "Welcome aboard, Miss Jones." "It's my pleasure, Mr. Smith." I will say, Smith and Jones is a classic, and this is a good story to introduce Martha. I will say, I do like the idea of a space police, and the Jadoon was so cool. They were in the Sarah Jane Adventures, Prisoner of the Jadoon, and the 13th Doctor story, Fugitive of the Jadoon. I do like David Tennant and Freema Agyeman together, and they do have good chemistry. I will give Smith and Jones a 10 out of 10. So that is my review of Smith and Jones. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time for my review of the Shakespeare Code.